It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
If I've got a lovely home that's got good bones, it's been built, it's part of the architecture of that street, my preference is to actually reimagine that into something that's more suitable for a modern family.
And that is Michael Baker in Queensland this morning on another Friday that is turned up. We have the weekend in our sights, and welcome back into the Real Estate Breakfast. Nice to have your company wherever in the world you might be listening to us from. Got a short email from Devon in London who wrote in to say that he could relate to another Aussie in London who emailed us last week. You might remember Melanie's story from Perth. She felt that the Perth property rise in terms of pricing, together with her exchanging pounds for Aussie dollars, this whole exchange thing, trying to make money, one thing cancels out the other in terms of having that advantage. And Devon wrote in just to say, hey, I am from Sydney and Melanie's story is exactly what I am facing too. So it's not as much of an advantage. So thank you so much for getting in touch with us, Devon. Do keep in touch and let us know how your property journey progresses once you get back to Australia. Our email address, as always, is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com. It is a Friday. We're rocking through November. Let's go to Brisbane because we're going to catch up with Michael Baker. Michael has done something pretty amazing in terms of a build there in Brisbane. Anything is possible, when it comes to a renovation project. If you put your mind to it, you can literally build anything, within reason. So good morning, Michael, and welcome into the Real Estate Breakfast. Perhaps I'll just get you to set this up a little bit in terms of what you have built, because you started off with an old timber weatherboard home and you've kind of gone for gold.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having us on the show this morning. Yeah, we basically took a little post-war cottage that was terracotta tile, timber weatherboard, timber windows and that sort of stuff, and supercharged it, I suppose. We've raised the house, extended out the back, basically made it sort of 4 times the size of what it was.
If you look at the Brisbane buyer market, right now they are gravitating towards polished turnkey homes because they don't want to stress out with all of the planning battles, the material delays, etc., etc., etc. So you've turned something into obviously a palace compared to what it was. And I have to say, I have seen the photos and well done you.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. On that point, I guess we do talk to a lot of clients over the years, and then you progress through the project and then they realise it's going to take probably 2 years to get to a completed home. There's some variables in there in terms of construction costs. We've got rising labour, difficult labour to get. We've got the Olympics coming in 32, so that's sucking a lot of guys into different areas. They're being offered crazy amounts of money to move to bigger organisations. So that makes the renovation and building process a little bit unknown in terms of the final costs. So in this situation, you've got a finished product that you can open the door and at the end of the day be swimming in the pool on Christmas Day. And I think that's fairly attractive to a certain demographic.
Yeah, the other thing too around all of this is preserving the character. There's a lot of fantastic character homes in Brisbane, but what happens? Developers, investors, they get these blocks and the first thing to go, obviously, is that old house. And it's a shame really because, it's losing the identity of the city.
I couldn't agree with you more. Brisbane City Council town plan has a lot to answer for that. I think they seem to have kind of thrown that out the door in recent years, and stuff that 10 years ago would have a character protection overlay on it and you couldn't do too much to it without having a lot of the development approvals required. They just get knocked down. I've never seen so much demolition in 30 years of building in Brisbane as I have in the last 18 months. And you just drive past some beautiful classic homes and next minute they're a vacant block of land and you think, how is that preserving the character of the timber and tin structure that we have and are famous for in Brisbane?
Yes, the other thing is the rise of actually building new, and like this particular project, pound for pound, you looked at it and you said, yes, we can totally do the conversion. Probably comes in terms of what you've done regarding a new build cheaper.
Oh, look, no, I wouldn't say that. Renovations are always more difficult to do. It's far easier to actually knock something down and start again. But you think of the carbon footprint that creates, all the demolition, the waste materials, and all that goes off to the tip. If I've got a lovely home that's got good bones, it's been built, it's part of the architecture of that street. My preference is to actually reimagine that into something that's more suitable for a modern family. Obviously, the original house on that block was only a little small 3-bedroom house, something that we all probably grew up in if you're about the age as I am. And, you shared a bedroom with someone, but these days everyone's got to have a bedroom and everyone's got an ensuite. And I just like the challenge of reimagining that existing structure and turning it into something that's suitable for a modern family. But it's not just me that does that. There's a massive team that's involved in the project, from building designers to town planners to interiors and the actual construction team. And they have a big hand in what goes on. It's not just my vision, it's what they come up with as well.
Yes, and having a look at the renovation approvals, they have ticked upwards in Q4 as homeowners stay put, which is sort of in the lane of what you're talking about, rather than upgrade due to affordability pressures. As you mentioned, we've got these labour shortages easing slightly, but material costs, they are still elevated, making quality renovations more valuable. Investors are now chasing added value renovation projects because new builds are too costly or they are delayed. We are talking to Michael. He is in Brisbane this morning. When we come back, we'll talk about multi-generational homes, and that is next.
Every week, unravel the real estate market to help guide your real estate journey. It's the Real Estate Podcast.
Recently, we were in Hamilton in NZ talking to Mark there, an award-winning auctioneer. And Mark, you've got a auction property tip for us this morning.
Sure do, Craig. This is my one for going to an auction that you think is going to be competitive with lots of competing registered interest. My idea, stand in a prominent position, eyeball the auctioneer and don't give him even numbers. Dictate the numbers. I'd be going 917,500, 963.5, add 17, add 19, and just see what you get at the end of it, because I think your competition look and go, what's going on here? And you can just throw them off and get that little bit of ascendancy, which might just give you the edge.
Eager to expand your property expertise? Enhance your real estate know-how with us.
It is a Real Estate Friday. We are looking forward to another weekend. If you're chasing your property dreams tomorrow and on Sunday, good luck with that as you start to do that master list and narrow it down. Michael is with us from Brisbane. And Michael, multi-generational homes, they're pretty big at the moment. Huge buyer demand in this space. I think you identified with this reno that you built that exact thing.
Very much so. So that particular property's got 5 bedrooms in it, comes with a wine cellar and everything. Basically, we've sort of divided the house into 3 zones. So when you go upstairs, you've got a parents' retreat at the back that's got your master bedroom with your deck and a living space for TV, lounge, ensuite bathroom like you normally have. That's kind of down one end of the house. You then move to the front end of the house and you've got 3 bedrooms for the kids. But again, they've got their own family room that opens onto a deck that looks out to Mount Cootha and gets the storms coming across. And then downstairs, we put another master bedroom that's got full walk-in robe, ensuite, and that's only 3 steps down from the garage. So if you've got elderly family members or you've got guests coming or something like that, they've got their own space downstairs as well. It's just not nice to have those breakout spaces. It's just not a house that's full of bedrooms with no space for people to break out into. So quite proud of that.
Yeah, and high-end buyers, as we say, they do want these highly quality finished homes because they do fear of builder delays. You've got the design complexity, the rising costs that we talked about, and also the council approval blockages, and all of that just basically turns into a bit of a headache for many people. Brisbane's reno flips have hit strong profit margins, and, the limited supply, the interstate migration, the lifestyle buyers, all of that is in the lane of what you're talking about. So perhaps talk to that, as well as how long did it take your reno from beginning to end to complete this project?
If you looked at it from the time that we had the original idea and through the design process, all the approvals, through the construction, you're looking at probably just over 2 years to actually get that project finished. And probably 6 months of that is just tied up with red tape for the design process, the council approvals, because you've got multiple layers of approvals that you've got to get, from development approval, building approval, civil works. You've then got urban utilities to deal with, and they're notoriously time-consuming things to do. Once you've got all that, you then start that quoting process, and then you start the construction. So the construction phase is probably the 18 months sort of part of it, and then your 6 months design. So it's a fairly lengthy process. And if people are wanting to get into the market now and not be paying the price that they're going to be paying in 2 years' time, the turnkey solution gives them that surety that they know, okay, well, that's what I'm going to pay for it. This particular property is pretty much in a one-off sort of location. It's that perfect piece of real estate that's north-facing, high on the hill, full city views. The breezes up the top are really spectacular. You can watch what's going on in the suburb and feel like you're in a really remote spot. It's an incredibly quiet location, and I think that's what is part of the appeal of this, but it's also the timeless sort of elegance of the architecture, so that in 20 years' time, you won't actually be able to identify when that particular property was built. And I see a lot of the architecture going up around in Brisbane at the moment, and it has a real Palm Springs feel to it. And in 10 or 15 years' time, you'll be able to look at that and go, well, that was a sort of 2024, 25, 26 build, because I think it's going to age. This just has a timeless elegance to it with lots of carpentry detail that makes you feel like you've walked into Raffles Hotel in Singapore or something like that.
Yeah, it certainly has that flavour. And just before I let you go, the emotional side of all of this, building a home for life. You built this with forever in mind, not just a resale. You looked at it with the view of aging in place, design, consideration for future family use, etc. But however, Michael, the twist here is you're not going to live in it forever. You've decided to sell it.
No, that's right. No, it's crazy as it sounds. We, as a family of 5, we thought we would build this place high on the hill, and then we'd be able to pass it on from generation to generation. So we certainly made sure that no stone was left unturned in the construction. First walk through, you wouldn't actually know we're in the place, but at some point we just decided to pass it on to another family because basically I couldn't be bothered moving.
All right, we'll leave it there. Michael, good on you. It sounds like a fantastic project that you have managed to achieve. Well done, and enjoy your Friday. Thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast and sharing that story with our listeners this morning.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having us on.
Know Your Property. Available for breakfast from 6 a.m.
Sellers might be overestimating value in a market that's steady. How are you finding it out there?
Yeah, we're actually seeing some really mixed results. I mean, generally speaking, listing volumes are down significantly over their 5-year average. Some vendors will naturally have ownership bias. We all think our properties are worth more than what they are because we have a sentimental attachment to them. But the realistic sellers are getting them away.
I know that you would have been paying a lot of attention to what the RBA was doing. Tell me, what do you think is likely to happen? Because there are all sorts of speculation about, no, we're not going to see any more rate cuts.
There's what's called the neutral rate, Craig, and this is where the RBA is a bit vague about what is the actual neutral rate, an interest rate that doesn't stimulate nor curtail activity too much. And it was thought that that rate was around 3%. However, now that we've got stronger inflation and also pretty robust employment, it could be that that neutral rate is actually higher.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.